Hello, hello. This is the 186th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2224, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. And we're not just putting the past in podcast like we do every time.
No. We're doing it for the third year in a row now.
Yes.
Or this being the third anniversary of the first episode to successfully go back.
Yes. Today, or roughly today.
Around today.
Yes.
We're doing this for 3 years is the point.
Yeah, exactly. 3 years. So this, 3 years ago, our first episode 29, landed successfully back in the 21st century.
It was an exciting time. I remember being excited.
Yeah. But time flies. Time hovers.
It does.
I guess.
That's a segue into something that you have right there, I think.
Yes, because, we bought ourselves presents. Because it's not your anniversary or my anniversary.
It's not a birthday. And exactly. So basically you bought something for yourself. I bought something for myself. And we're saying, hey, these are our podcast third anniversary presents.
Yeah, they can go
ourselves to ourselves.
They can go join our growing collection of random future gadgets.
Yeah. And they're business expenses, I guess.
Or in my case, it's actually a past gadget.
And likewise, actually.
Yeah.
I had the same idea maybe as you. It's we're sending our show. We have been sending our show for 3 years backwards in time. So I figured, hey, here's another gadget that I've got right here from the past.
Okay, then you go first. What is it?
First? It's a Game Boy.
Okay.
And check this out. It's pretty cool. So it opens up like that. Then you press this thing here.
It's still working?
Oh, yeah. It works.
Cool.
Very cool, huh? Very cool, except... so this slot here is where you put the games. Don't have any games.
Okay.
So it's really cool. It's got buttons. You can click them. You can switch it off. You can switch it on again. Like that. You can open and close it.
But it was for playing games.
It's for playing games. And other than that, it doesn't do anything else like you saw. There's no menu. Okay. There's no other... Doesn't seem to have internet access.
Okay.
You can hold it up to your face like an old-fashioned telephone. Doesn't do anything. But it's pretty cool, yeah?
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Looks good shape, yeah? Over 200 years old. Still working.
I can imagine it's already satisfying to just open and close and press
buttons. Give it a go yourself.
Okay, now I'm going to... This is, okay, for the listeners, I'm opening it up.
There's a nice little click there.
And I'm closing it.
That's the good stuff.
Okay, cool.
It could be a fidget toy of some kind until we get some games.
Yes, definitely. And what
was it you got?
Yeah, I put it here. So this is a 22nd century hover cube. Let me put it here.
Yep.
So
sounds like hollow almost.
It is.
To hover, it must be pretty light.
It's out of battery though, so that's why it doesn't actually hover. But it's supposed to basically float in the air, and it's kind of like a game. You can see all these little color.
Right, it's covered in colored squares.
Yes, exactly. And then right now all the colors are mixed, but while it's hovering, you can basically shift it around until every side is one single color.
Using telekinesis, yeah.
Well, it wasn't originally for
was it originally there was a controller for it?
I don't know how they originally did it. Maybe they touched it while it was hovering, and then then let it go, and it kept on hovering, so you could easily look at it from all sides. I'm not sure how that worked, but I got it because, of course, you can do telekinesis.
I can do.
So I thought if we figure out a way at some point how to power it on, then you can
give it a go.
Exactly. Then you can solve it while rotating it with telekinesis.
Does sound tempting. I look forward to it.
So we have one device that powers on that you can't play on.
Right.
And we have one device that you can play on, but it doesn't power on.
So we're close. We can maybe combine the two.
Yes. These are some proper...
I'm going to put the cube on top. It doesn't seem to do anything.
No.
Would have been nice if they somehow linked up.
True. But yeah, so these are very appropriate presents for our show. Because even in our show, we sometimes have things that don't really work perfect.
True.
But today we have a non-tech topic.
That's correct. We're going to be talking about, I guess to give it away right at the start, Luminati have been secretly stealing our salt water.
Yes.
Not your salt water, not my salt water, not like our own personal stashes, but the salt water of the earth from the oceans.
And when we found out, this turned out to be a bit of a scandal.
Saltwater scandal, even.
The saltwater scandal, yeah, that's at least what it's been called in the news.
Yeah.
And that's also we had our 25th anniversary of the alien landing this year. But also this year marked the moment where the Parisians kind of screwed up a little bit with the second universe.
Correct.
And also finding out that the Luminati are secretly stealing.
Yeah, they're not so. They tend to present themselves as pretty virtuous, but this is a little bit devious.
Yeah, and it's also because they are in many ways a little bit further advanced in many things. Of course, they've been traveling through the universe, and we always feel a little bit, less advanced than they are. But they're also not perfect, and this is turn out
a reminder of that.
Yeah, exactly. So they're not perfect, and so they were stealing our salt water. So what were they stealing it for?
So to put in small, tiny little glass bottles as souvenirs.
Yes, they were taking it as souvenirs back to their planet. This baffled us initially. Why would you do that?
Sure, it's just regular salt water.
Turns out salt water is a pretty rare thing in the universe.
Indeed. Elsewhere they need to get salt and pour it into the water to make salt water. Everywhere else in the universe, it tends to be quite sweet, the water. So that's why that's why they're interested in taking it as a souvenir from the Earth's oceans. And
also, there aren't apparently that many planets that have fluids on them to begin with.
Sure, that's a good point. And tends to be though. I mean, not as much as the Earth does, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge oceans covering the surface. Most other planets, actually, they'll have some small amount of water, often in the form of ice in the form of ice at the poles that needs to be melted down if you want to use it. So it's also, they're figuring, hey, you got so much, you won't miss any.
And of course, whenever we go out into the galaxy or into the universe, we're like, hey, where's the water? Of course, because we're so used to it on Earth, but the other way around, because they are not really used to it. They come here, they think it's pretty special. And like you were saying, if they then find water somewhere in the universe, it's usually sweet.
Indeed, yeah, right. That's what they're used to. So, for example, they've found limonada and mezzo. Yep. Those are the most common forms of sweet water.
Yeah.
Though usually, like I say, frozen at the poles of planets rather than just huge sloshing oceans.
Yeah. Although, I mean, on the other hand, I would be curious to go to a planet where they have oceans made of mezzo.
See, I'm not such a fan of sweet things. Salt water.
You like your water salty?
It's a bit too salty, isn't it? I like it somewhere in the middle. So not too salty, not too sweet.
I wonder if there's a planet with fizzy water.
That would make it easier to swim, yeah? Or at least to float. I don't know about to swim, but it would definitely make it easier to float.
Yeah, I guess.
Might feel quite like a massage on you.
But yeah, so I think the salty water bottles were quite the hype on the Luminati planet, right? So whenever Luminati came here, they took those as a souvenir, and sometimes they took a whole lot as souvenirs.
Well, that's the thing. So they were thinking, hey, I've got some for myself, but I know my friends back home will really like some of this.
Yes, hey, I was on Earth. Here are, bottles with salty water.
I mean, they take 100 bottles in one go.
And then, so apparently this is a bit of hype. So, hey, you're going to Earth. Can you bring me some salt water?
Then apparently, even a second-hand market for it.
Yeah.
Is that the word, second-hand? Some kind of secondary market, that's the word I'm looking for. And, so people here, Luminati come here to visit, they're on holiday, but then, okay, you know what will cover the cost of that holiday? Taking a few hundred bottles back home, selling them when they get back. And
then there's at one point we found out, basically, so what are you guys doing all the time? Yeah. And then that was like you were saying at the beginning, bit of a scandal. Yeah, and I think that you can imagine how it got started. Yeah, initially, someone's on holiday, the Illuminati's on holiday, they just take 1 or 2 bottles, no big deal. There's no need to declare it. Like, why would you even mention it? You're just taking a couple of bottles of water. Yeah. And then by the point it gets to the stage where it's like, this is kind of necessary, or at least it's desirable that it continue because, like I say, you can cover the cost of the holiday. You don't really want to bring it up in case it becomes a problem. Yeah. Okay, but then never mentioning it at all, not talking about it publicly. Okay, now it's become a really big scandal. Yeah. Everybody was saying they could have just asked us. Yeah. But on the other hand, we might have just said no.
Might have, and that's the thing. Like, so definitely, probably. I mean, who would have even been in a position to say no when it was just someone as an individual taking 1 or 2 bottles? Now it's reached the scale it has. Yeah, okay, now it's coming into export, import, and duties and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, right now they're saying, we didn't really think there was a big deal. You
Right.
have so much of it.
Exactly, that too, like we mentioned earlier. And also they pointed out, sure, when humans go visit other planets, I mean, also just visit other places on Earth, but for the point of this discussion, go to other planets, we'll totally be like, hey, check out that rock, it looks really cool. Or, hey, check out that sand, I'm going to take a look, to the point, take a little bottle of that sand home because I can show folk that I was there. Maybe sprinkle it in my garden for fun, don't worry about the, plants mixing, no, never mind.
Here's a tiny shell from the beach, let's take it.
Exactly, shells which don't look like any shells you can find on Earth.
And then the first...
So, right, humans have been doing that, no questions asked, or not asking for permission, yeah?
It's pretty much the first thing we do when we go to another planet. Even if there aren't any humans or robots there, basically the first probes or unmanned spacecrafts that go there, the first thing you do is grab stuff and bring it back. It's this like, yeah, okay, sure, fair enough.
I mean, like to your point, the first time, it's exploratory, yeah? So it's for scientific knowledge.
Okay, fair enough.
And this is not that. But very quickly for humans also, it stops being about scientific discovery and more about, hey, check it out, mud.
But you're right. It's a step from scientific discovery to souvenirs to basically mass market. Paying your holiday with it.
Yeah, and right. I mean, that's the concern. Okay, so if this does continue, so that's why there's now a halt on this. Yeah. Because if it continues, won't the water run out at some point? I mean, depends on how much it's taken and so on. But I mean, so sea levels have dropped by 0.002 millimeters since this started.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like a whole lot.
Doesn't sound like a lot, no. I haven't done the projections myself, but I think the projections that concern people aren't it continuing at its current rate, but it accelerating a lot.
Yeah, and also I guess like in the 0.002 millimeters, it could also have been caused by something else. I don't know.
Could have been.
But on the other hand, like nature kind of balances things out on Earth, right? If you remove something here, it evaporates and it rains down somewhere else, and it's kind of like recycles.
Yeah, it would take a few. I did look up the number the other day. Actually, it was in the order of either hundreds of millions or even billions of years for the water of Earth. So it does escape through the atmosphere. It does actually go out a little bit, but so slowly. And at this point, basically, it will accelerate much later in the future when the sun gets way bigger. We're going to have problems, yeah. But that's at the very earliest, that was several 100 million years from now.
But that's without the Illuminati.
Without the Illuminati,
that's happening
accelerating.
Anyway.
That's happening anyway.
Okay.
Concern would be, what if this speeds it up to the point where 10 years from now, oh dear, there's not enough water.
Okay. Because that's what I was getting at. Like we kind of recycle things within our atmosphere, but we actually actively take things out. Like if we plant a tree on another planet, it's not, actually adding anything on our planet.
Right. And then, of course, it's not like it's there's room for some amount to go. It's not like everything has to be kept here, but beyond a certain point, it might cause problems.
Did you see the submarines they used?
They were nice. They were really fancy.
That was... I mean, I had seen some of them because they're bringing all kinds of stuff here, sometimes on display, just to sometimes to exchange technology. And they were using them to explore the oceans. I didn't realize they were using them also actually to collect the salt water, right?
Well, that's yeah. I mean, because especially what's really nice with these submarines is that they have on the front a sensor array. Obviously for searching for whatever they're searching for. And I mean, okay, salt water, that's everywhere. You don't really need a sensor array for that. What's cute is, though, the sensor array looks a little bit like a pig's snout.
Yeah.
I really find that cute.
I also thought like the color, but it because it's bright orange.
Orangey, reddish. So bright red, I'd say. Bright reddish orange.
And I thought, what I thought was quite cute was that like they have it like really ergonomically designed. And then it looks a little bit like a fish.
Yeah.
Right? So
fish with a pig snout.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course it means like, okay, fish have evolved for millions of years into a shape that is optimized for navigating underwater.
Yeah.
Luminati just designed this thing to be used underwater, and it roughly looks the same. So that must be a really proper form for navigating underwater.
I mean, so yes, and maybe they just saw a fish and went, hey, that looks cool.
Yeah, okay, probably. Like, let's skip a couple of millions of years of technical evolution and just, get in at the end.
Yeah.
But the pig's note, becomes a bit of it became a bit of an image that you now also see printed on T-shirts and so on.
Yeah,
So
and that's the unfortunate thing. So, pigs are really lovely animals, but some folk have a view of them that they're greedy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then when you have this with the Luminati, some folk are saying, hey, they're taking all the water. So it's like a greedy pig snuffing up all the water. It's a bad look.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Mm-hmm. So do you know if what's not going to happen?
Right. Because maybe so far we've been talking and people were worried how this is going to work out. No, it's all good. Luminati are going to pay us back for the water.
Ah, really?
Yeah,
okay.
It's all good. And what's being worked out now, the details for just like, how much water can be sold, for what rates, what taxes need to be charged, all that kind of good stuff. But right, the water that's been taken so far, the Luminati will pay for it retroactively. Mm-hmm. Not all at once though.
I know.
No, because they pay in artichokes, and artichokes do go off. So they need to work out a payment plan.
Yeah, it's like if they dump like 1 million artichokes here, then
Also
what are we
flood the
going to do
market.
with it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And then I guess we'll have to eat them very fast or immediately use them to buy other stuff.
Sure. Which would be a boost to the economy, but instead it's going to be a payment plan over the next few years.
I guess also it's not so easy for them to come up with so many artichokes in one batch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. What I did see already that because it's now stopped. It's like while we're
discussing exactly while it's being discussed, it's completely halted.
But there's quite a few of now clandestine saltwater sales points popping up, at least in Bad City. I saw.
Yeah, sure.
Where some Luminati have been spotted to get some saltwater bottles on the black market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is unfortunate, but okay, can't be stopped, can't be helped.
Exactly. I think like whatever happens in Bad City stays in Bad City, except the saltwater bottles. They'll take.
Well, the trading happens there.
Yes, true. Actually,
and they go on their way.
Yeah, so a bit of a scandal, but not so dramatic.
Not super dramatic. It'll be fine. Just like you say, it reminds everyone that the Illuminati, they're not somehow above reproach.
Yeah.
No one is above reproach.
And if you compare it to the Parsians accidentally creating another universe versus the Illuminati taking some of our salt water, okay,
They're very different things.
Very different scandals. Mm-hmm. All right.
Mm-hmm. So, question. Time for a question from one of our listeners?
Yeah.
Okay. Would you like to read this one?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's from Johnny Bravo. Mm-hmm. It says, "Whoa, mama, I have an emergency. Seems to be a handsome man in my house. Oh, cancel that. It's only me."
Okay, so thanks for writing, Johnny Bravo. For a moment there, sounded like you had a real problem. An emergency even, as you say. But it sounds like it worked out.
Yeah. If you have an emergency in the 21st century, it doesn't really make much sense to tell us.
Maybe that's why he wrote to us, because it worked out, yeah. Like
Yeah.
if it had actually been an emergency, a handsome man in his house, and what's he going to do, and it had worked out badly, he wouldn't have written to us. So.
Yeah, I guess.
But
also,
it was himself. So.
Yeah, and there wasn't actually a question included.
No.
So just some piece of information.
Questions aren't required, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. You can just tell us stuff that's on your mind. If there is an emergency or whatever, just let us know.
You can use us like a diary.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that. That'd be too much for us to read, but you can tell us anything you like.
Yeah, and we were happy to hear from Johnny Bravo. Mm-hmm. Thanks for emailing us.
Yes, thank you, Johnny. And so, our listeners who have heard this episode, please send an email to michaellasagna5@gmail.com. Put the number 186 in the subject line so that we know this episode in particular went back in time successfully. And when you want, tell us about handsome people who are in your house too.
Yes. So for now, thanks for listening and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.